This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This table is really tilted.
Excuse me? Am I gonna get a chance to speak?
Maybe I should take that back.
Denied. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Take a giant step for mankind.
Welcome to the Tilted Table with your hosts, Sean and Joe.
Folks, welcome to another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I'm Sean Kabibi.
And I am Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And happy Friday.
I know, we're going to stretch this all the way to the nether realms of the Galaxium.
As we usually do.
Yes.
Talking about things that, well, we don't even know.
No.
Like today, I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about.
And that's part of the magic of this whole journey. It's like we're all on a magic carpet ride.
Sure.
Oh,
sure.
Speaking of magic carpet ride, one of the fun YouTube videos is these people are freaking batshit crazy that do this. But have you seen people that jump off? Usually they'll do this with with a parachute, but they'll jump off the side of a cliff on like a Persian rug.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And they'll try and fly.
Yeah.
That's no.
What?
No, just watch it. Like there's going to be a gust of wind or something, and you get wrapped up in an Afghan. Plummet to your death.
But isn't that just all for show? That doesn't mean anything. They're just base jumpers, and they're like, well, what can we jump off with? And then like make it look like I'm on some magic carpet ride. I've seen the video. Does it carry them that far?
I think it's like a low rent squirrel suit.
So wait, are they wearing a suit?
They're wearing a parachute. They try and glide with this Persian rug. So
is the Persian rug though like just a regular rug, or is it modified in some way to give them some kind of aerial,
I don't know, but I know inside of their helmet they're screaming a whole new world.
Oh, come on. They love this. The people love this shit. And there's so many people that die doing it. I mean, they try to get more creative with doing these kinds of things. And what else are you going to do? It's the internet. You just can't jump off of a cliff. Mm-hmm. Everyone does that. Yeah. You got to do some kind of, whole thing. But I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on. I'll give you one that I don't see a whole lot of, and I'm surprised. I'm sure it does exist. I haven't come across it. Is hang gliding? Like it's like
yeah.
Like it's like I'm not gonna say it's dying. I just don't see anybody doing it. But there's got to be YouTubers that's all they do, and then I guess they record themselves doing it.
It's funny. It's like when I was a kid. So now we're talking like this is mid '80s, maybe into the early '90s. One of the things that I would love to do is windsurfing. That looks freaking awesome. I just don't know and haven't seen anybody that does any windsurfing these days. I don't even know. Is that still a thing?
Well, when I was in Mexico, I don't know if it was in Puerto Vallarta or Cancun. It was popular. You could, pay somebody and they would take you out and they do it. And it was all over the ocean. People were out there doing it.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, sign me up for that. I mean, as long as it's not in like a shark infested area, I think that'd be pretty.
It's the ocean. It's all
cool.
Shark infested. You can't get it. You can't get away from it. There's no such thing as
There's no shark free zones.
No, I don't think so. No, sharks don't adhere to those rules.
Okay, so funny side comment is, even to this day, if I'm in a large, fresh body of water, if I go underwater, like I don't know why this happens, but in the back of my head, all I hear is a da-dun. And then it's like, nope, I'm in the boat.
I mean, anybody that grew up, when did Jaws come out? 70s?
Mm-hmm, 70s.
So, yeah, I mean, I know it was an old film by the time I saw it. So, yeah, but anybody that, grew up in the 70s, 80s, they had to have that fear constantly.
For sure, because now people are just so desensitized with, like, you're like 2 years old and you're watching, all these crazy movies and everything else. So it's like your shock value is not there. But, when you and I were growing up, I mean, Jaws was real. Like, what? They're going to eat my legs off? No, sure. I'm not going to do that.
And I think the first Jaws movie I saw was the third one. So, again, if it came out in the 70s, I'm sure I know I saw Jaws eventually. Mm-hmm. But I think the first Jaws movie I ever saw, we went to the theater to go see Jaws 3 in 3D. because I was fascinated by 3D film. So my first introduction to the sharks attack you when you go into the ocean, I got that story and I got it in 3D. It scarred me even more.
Oh man. One of the things I don't know if you have these at your fingertips, but so there's something that I refer to in life as like small joys in life. Small joys in life would be like on a really cold winter day, you're doing laundry and you pull a pair of socks out of the dryer and put them on immediately. Mm-hmm. Ooh, so good. Small joy in life. Or if you're like going to the lake and water skiing or wakeboarding or whatever, and you finish a run, you feel great about it, and someone like throws you a beer while you're floating in the water, and you drink a beer while you're floating in the lake. Small joy in life.
Yeah. Well, I've never gone wakeboarding. I don't think. Have I gone wakeboarding? No, I don't think I've gone wakeboarding.
Not even wake surfing?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think of all the things. I mean, when I was 13, my cousin Danny, he tried to teach me how to surf, and he was a competitive surfer.
Like legit, like TNC surf design.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff?
like he had a sponsor, and he would compete. And I remember going out and trying that. It was extremely difficult. But again, I was 13 and I didn't really know what I was doing. I just remember paddling out was exhausting. And then, you're basically waiting for a wave. And then, you got to hit the wave at the right time, and you jump up on the board and you surf the wave. And I was no good at it. So I could barely get out there. That's about as, much of the, wakeboarding, surfing, what was the one that you said earlier? Wind sailing?
Yeah, windsurfing.
Windsurfing, all that shit. Yeah, no, it's not my jam. Last time I went out in the ocean, I went out and I swam in the ocean. That's about as, far as I'm going to take it.
It's too cold.
Yeah. Well, where we were at wasn't cold at all. Well, maybe it was. I'd been drinking, so it could have been freezing. Who knows?
After the first 17 shots of tequila, you were feeling great.
Yeah, I could have been. It could have been ice cold. I could have probably survived the Titanic.
Yeah. Well, real quick,
everyone's freezing to death, and I'm sitting there floating in the water, going like, "I don't know, it's not so bad."
Well, with your surfing story, one of the things that I think is fascinating is like when people will strap on these GoPros or cameras on their boards, and they're inside of a tube. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Rip curl or whatever. I think that when people take those types of either film or photography, it's stunning, man. Nature is so powerful. I dig it. And it's funny because I'll get stuck on like looking at this stuff, and then my Instagram algorithm will automatically change, and like I'll log on the next day. I'm like, why is like 90% of my stuff about surfing? Where did everything else go?
Just look up one thing, and all of a sudden your algorithm changes. The only thing I ever had a problem with going out into the ocean is probably an unnecessary fear of riptides. And every time I hear these stories about people that get caught in riptides, and there's a way out of them, but people do the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do, and they die. And it seems pretty innocuous. Like it seems pretty easy for you to walk into a riptide and not realize you're walking into a death trap. Mm-hmm. And so when I would go out in the ocean, I guess I never really thought about it when I'm going into the ocean. Again, I've probably been drinking anyways. But when I think about it, going like, God damn, as much as I've, just jump into the ocean and, start swimming around, I'm surprised. Well, not surprised, but not thinking like, I could easily just walk into a riptide.
Aren't you supposed to just, if that happens, you're supposed to just go with it?
Yeah, it's something like you roll with it, and then you do something, like you move your body a certain way. And yeah, because, you go with it, and then eventually the riptide separates you out.
Right.
It pushes you out of it into the ocean.
Right.
People swim against it, and that's where they get into trouble.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to I guess a roller coaster, you just ride it, and then eventually it spits you out at the other end.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things along the same lines is, I thought stop, drop, and roll would play a much larger role in my life, after being taught that as a kid.
Uh-huh.
Right? Have you ever stopped, dropped, and rolled?
I've never been set on fire.
But as a kid, right, it seemed normal, or like
it was a big deal. They made you practice it in school and shit.
Yes, or in the event of a nuclear blast, you hide under your desk.
Yeah, because that's gonna help.
Where you stand in a doorway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the stop. It's weird because I'm not sure what the stop, drop, and roll was supposed to be about. I'm thinking that when are most people in danger of being caught on fire? It would be like a house fire, you're in a building or something, or you're in a car wreck maybe. And none of that stuff seems to apply because my house is on fire. I'm trying to get the fuck out. I'm not going to stop, drop, and fucking roll.
Right.
And if your house is on fire, I'm not sure how useful that's going to be because your fucking house is on fire. You're going to get caught on fire again. And so in a car wreck, I'm not really entirely sure. Obviously, if your car's on fire, the idea is to get you out. And I guess if they get you out, I wouldn't want to stop, drop, and roll. I'm probably mangled. You're not supposed to move a whole lot, I think, if you're busted up pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know when you use stop, drop, and roll. And somebody walk up to you and just stick a lighter to your jacket and like, oh, look, he's on fire. And like, we're glad I know stop, drop, and roll. You can't burn me. I don't know when you use this shit. But yeah, the nuclear, if there's an event of a nuclear attack, get under your desk. What the fuck?
You will be saved.
I don't even know why they did that because we all knew what a nuclear weapon could do. I guess they have to do something. So they're like, well, you just can't stand there and get annihilated. So let's act like you're going to be protected by a $40 wooden desk.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to protect you from a nuclear blast.
It's crazy, man. Time definitely flies. Where, and speaking of blast, do you remember? And I don't know, did we talk about this already? But where were you when the Challenger exploded?
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Yeah, that was. My 10 seconds or less on that one is just I remember Mrs. Burgess, the teacher, turning off the television and being like, well, anyway, children.
I'm sure I talked about this. I was Mr. Wegley's sixth grade class. And it exploded. And we're just sitting there watching it. And I think I said this before. My distinct memory is the reaction of the people. That, the NASA ground crew, Houston, I guess, I don't know what they're called. No one had a reaction that seemed like it was a problem. Mm-hmm. You just see it like, it's going up in the air and they're like, 195, now that's, NASA speak. And then you just see this ball of fire. It's like 19525. I was expecting someone to go like, oh shit! Oh shit! No, that didn't happen. And I remember being confused because, I was in like 12 years old or something. I was 12, I was sixth grade or whatever you'd be in the sixth grade. And I was just confused to the point there was no reaction from the NASA people that I was like, well, is this a problem? Because what I'm seeing looks like a fucking huge problem.
I don't see any parachutes.
Right? I don't know what's going on. Are they in the black box? So they're cool, right? Just exploded. Don't worry. They're inside the black box. It'll just parachute down and they'll be fine. Man. So yeah, I don't know. The whole thing was wild, and the reaction from the adults is kind of funny. I can't remember how my teacher reacted. I just remember NASA not really reacting, and I even go back every once in a while and watch these clips, and still kind of amazed by nobody. There's not one person that seemed to lose their shit.
Right.
Maybe again, I know they're scientists and engineers, and they're not supposed to. You're not supposed to react like that. That's why those people have those jobs. You get someone like me. I'm more the creative type. I'd have been like, oh shit! I would have been screaming.
It happened. Well, anyway, I have two other quick things. So going back to small joys in life, the other one is. So I mentioned that I have another tattoo appointment on Monday, which I'm very excited about. Mm-hmm. And so like after any of my sessions, the artist will put like a strip of Saniderm, or it's kind of like they use it for burn victims that helps protect your skin, help it from getting infected. It's got like vitamins and minerals in it, helps your skin regenerate. And you're supposed to keep it on for like 4 or 5 days. And in this time, like your hair is growing right underneath it. And it's very irritating. It bothersome. You twist and turn, and your skin you can't move that direction.
Sure, yeah.
So it's that the morning that you actually get to take the Saniderm off and let your skin breathe. Glorious, absolutely glorious. Small joy in life in a big, big way.
I wouldn't know. I have no tattoos and no plans on getting. Well, I'm not going to get a tattoo. Not now.
Or another one, and I've only had this happen one time, is getting when Apple came out with their credit card and getting my metal credit card and like tapping it on the desk and thinking, oh, I've officially arrived. I don't have a plastic credit card. I have a metal one. I can use this as a throwing star.
Yeah, and they last forever. The biggest problem I've had with credit cards is, I rotate it. So like I have it in my wallet one direction, and then when I use it, I flip it around so that it always is not getting bent one direction or the other. I mean, I consciously do that. Yeah, yeah. So getting a metal card is something that I should get a metal card. My friend Chris, he's got an Apple card, and he's flashing that thing around. Hey, look, it's metal. The sign, I guess, that you've made it to the big leagues.
I don't know. It's just different. It's different, so it's cool.
Yeah. So I know that's part of the, I guess, the appeal of the metal card, and it's what is the American Express Black Card, right? The big dog. You got to be like stupid rich to have that. Like, I don't think it's not even about credit. I think it's about like you have to be like known wealthy, like stupid wealthy to get that card.
Yes.
So one time I'm thinking like I should apply for a black card, and I didn't know anything about it. And somebody's like, "No, man, you got to be rich to get that." And I'm like, "I got great credit. My credit's through the fucking." Nah, I ain't about that, bro. You ain't getting that card unless you're fucking, somebody that's got a shit ton of money. And it's interesting you bring that up because there's this guy I saw on YouTube. I don't know what he's some YouTuber, and he's an ex-con, and one thing I don't know his name. I see him on the, what do you call the shorts, the reels or whatever, and he's a legit con. Like, he went to prison for something, so he's a criminal, but he always tells these stories about someone he knows, and like criminals know criminals, right? And they're going to tell those stories like, "Oh, I know this guy," but 99% of those stories are always going to be shit that's not that interesting. Like, yeah, this guy robbed, liquor stores, or I had a friend that sold drugs. This guy seems to know everybody that has the most wild, fucking, intricate scams. And, every one of the, I knew this guy. So I worked with this guy, or I knew this guy, and it's something out of a fucking movie. Now, whether or not these things are legit, like, I don't know, how fabricated they are. But yeah, that's all he seems to know are those kinds of criminals, which I think he's full of shit. That's like, you just don't know regular Joe Blow criminal. Every criminal is, some mastermind. Yeah, some guy's running some kind of intricate scam. And one of the ones that he had talked about was this dude that he knew, of course, that went to prison for counterfeiting. So he counterfeits money, and I guess he's really good at it. And eventually he gets caught and he goes to prison, and whatever he serves, 15 years for counterfeiting money. He gets out and he's trying to figure out, like, well, what can I do? So he creates this scam that he believes is a moneymaker, and he doesn't think it's illegal. Like, I can't get in trouble for this. And it involves the American Express Black Card. So, and I didn't know this about American Express Black Cards. It's not the fact that it's a symbol of extreme wealth. That it does have advantages. Like, if you go to certain types of places and clubs that are real popular, and you flash that card, that lets you in past the line, all kinds of VIP access because you have that card. People think you're fucking just uberly wealthy, so you get those kind of privileges. So what he did was he counterfeited a bunch of just blank American Express Black cards, and for $1,000 he would take your Visa, your MasterCard, or your Discover, if you fucking use Discover. I don't know who does, but whatever. And he would just cut the chip out and put that chip inside of this dummy black card. Okay. So when you go into the club and you use it to pay for a transaction, you're not defrauding anybody. It's going straight to your Visa account, but it looks like you have a black card. And he said he was selling 5 or 6 of these a week, making like $6,000 a week, just selling these cards to people that want that status symbol. And yeah, going into, bypassing lines. And of course it's all about picking up girls. That if you're at a hot club and you drop that black card, and all the girls are like, ooh, he got money, right? Except when you go home with him, he's driving a 98 Toyota Corolla. I don't know why, you're buying into the card. But he ended up getting popped for this. And of course it's like, they nailed him with the whole
trademark.
Yeah, trademark infringement, making counterfeit product. And I don't know where it goes from there, but he didn't go to prison for him. He just got fined. But I'm sure he's out there doing something similar. And I think it's like he's probably, all you have to do is just slightly alter it, I would assume, to where it doesn't look so much like an American Express Black Card that people would think it's a black card if they looked at it closely. So that's the whole problem with like fake Louis Vuitton and all that kind of shit. But if you had like a fake Louis Vuitton and it purposely was, let's say, slightly spelled incorrectly or something, I don't know if they can nail you that you're trying to counterfeit. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, but in a club scene, in a nightlife, if you're, the American Express, let's say the word American Express, there's like one of the letters is clearly not quite right, or you add an extra letter in it, and no one's going to really notice these subtle differences just looking at it real quick.
Right.
Yeah. Then
Or it's like they swap the Centurion with like Homer Simpson.
Well, that would be a little too obvious. But yeah, if you took the Centurion and maybe a different Centurion that looked kind of like the original, but if you actually looked at it, it wouldn't be the American Express Centurion. Yeah, I would assume that's what probably his next move would be. I don't know how much you can sell those for, because then you're selling something that, well, it doesn't. If I look at it, it doesn't look like an American Express card anymore because I can tell it's different. But in the moment, in a club or
It's
wherever,
dark, pulsing, fog machines.
Yeah, they're going to see American Express black card.
They're gonna know
about
it's
it.
metal.
Yeah,
right?
and they're gonna be all about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Leave a like on the video. I know you're enjoying this. Can you shut up?
The internet's answer to a question that was never asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
So what do you think of counterfeit or knockoff type stuff? And like the example would be one of my favorite things. I bought this. Oh man, this is like a crazy short, sketchy story. It was like downtown Fresno. This is more than 25 years ago. It'd be 10 o'clock in a dark alleyway, and some dude comes up, me and 3 other guys in this alleyway. He's like, "Hey man, I'm selling like Gucci."
Yeah, of course.
He's like, "I've got this new haul, got these velour tracksuits, Gucci monogram. Are you in?" And again, I was in an altered state of mind. I guess we can put it that way. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a Gucci monogram tracksuit. I still have it. I still think it's cool. And yes, I know it's totally fake, but it is awesome."
Yeah. Well,
so, I think there's some kitsch, I guess is the right word for some of those products that I actually kind of dig the story and that it's not the real thing.
I think I don't have an issue with it. The issue I have with it is people are trying to sell it as being legitimate and they're ripping people off. But if they're making it and they're telling you like, well, it's knockoff, but it's high quality knockoff, and you know it, and they know that, and you buy it, I don't think that's a problem. I know that the brands themselves have a problem with it because it floods the market with a bunch of counterfeit merchandise, and maybe the guy selling it to you is telling you it's fake, and maybe you buy it knowing it's fake, but then what if you turn around and try to sell it on the secondary market as being real? That becomes a problem. The idea that at some point somebody might get their hands on it and try to pawn it off as being real, and that becomes a problem. But as far as like me personally, I don't buy stuff like that. Whether it was knockoff Gucci or real Gucci, I would never buy Gucci. It's just not my style to buy shit like that. The only thing I've ever considered is buying a Rolex clone, and so I didn't know about these clones, and I'm assuming they're made in China. I don't know, but they're sold as being clones. No one, the sites that make these, or the companies that make these, they're not trying to sell it to you as a real Rolex, and they're expensive. They're like $1,000 for these cloned watches. And I talked to somebody that knows about this stuff. Again, I have a bunch of watches, so I'm kind of in the watch game. And he told me, he's like, $1,000. That's like a legit $1,000 watch. That's what that watch is actually worth. It's a high quality watch. It's got the sapphire glass. It's got quality movements. It's just not a Rolex, right? So
how do you buy that though? Do you have to? Is this like the Silk Road and you're paying with like?
No,
crypto?
there are regular websites. There's some that are better than others. You can tell by the prices.
Okay.
I was told, and one website called Ristovia, that they make the best Rolex clones, and they have everything like with the Austin Pagats and. Watches that I wouldn't even want a clone of because they're like starting at $50,000, and there's no motherfucker going to believe that you could buy a $50,000 watch. But a $5,000 or $6,000 Rolex like Oyster Perpetual or the Datejust, which is like the standard Rolex watch. That's believable that I could afford that, and I still would not pay $6,000 for a Rolex. I definitely would have to have a lot more money. And even then, I'm just the way I'm built. I think those are kind of stupid things to pay for, because Rolex is a really nice watch, but you're paying a lot for the name of the watch. It's not the actual quality of that watch. And I don't care what anybody says about like, oh, those movements that are, one of a kind, Swedish, Switzerland, whatever the fuck they are, and whoever makes them. And but you can buy, $1,000 watch from another company, and those are quality watches. So it's a combination of those two concepts. Well, we're going to make a $1,000 watch. This is a quality watch, and we're going to call it a Rolex, and we're going to clone it. So you are getting what you're paying for. It's $1,000 watch. It's just a fake Rolex, or sorry, not fake. It's cloned.
Right.
That's what they say. I've considered buying something like that. Sure, because they are nice watches. Like I said, my friend has one, and it's got the proper weight. It's not battery operated. It's what do you call it when they're not battery?
Perpetual.
Yeah, right. So it's got that. Yeah. So they just don't have Rolex movements. They're made by somebody else, and it's not a Rolex movement. They're good enough that people have said to me, and things I've seen online, that the clones you get a really nice clone. They're so good that the only way you can really tell it's not a Rolex is you have to have somebody open it up. And when they open it up, they're like, well, this is not a Rolex. But outside of that, you would, unless you're a watch expert, you're not going to be able to tell that's not a Rolex.
I think that's awesome. I think there's a number of years ago, Cookie and I were in Paris, and Paris is famous for a lot of things. They have one of the largest flea markets. I mean, it is like almost a whole district outside of Paris. It takes 2 days maybe to walk through the whole thing. It's big. And they had a sneaker reseller that had completely obvious knockoffs. Nike is spelled with a Y. And
it can't be a knockoff if they do that though.
But it still had the swoosh and everything else. It was just if you look close enough, it had a Y. The Nike Air, the little air bag in the shoe was that looks like it's some Scotch tape. But it was so good and clever that I really wanted a pair of these knockoffs. And the only thing that stopped me from getting them is the other thing from Paris is everybody's from Africa.
Yeah.
And these dudes are from Senegal, and I'm like, I can't understand you. I'm pointing, trying to give my shoe size, but I'm giving US measurements. I'm like, whatever, dude, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I do think I would like to have a pair of fake knockoffs and know they're knockoffs. I don't want to buy it and realize I got scammed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that if people are selling it as a knockoff and you're buying it as a knockoff, I think it's fine. But the problem is that every transaction that's happening from one person to the next, somebody's going to try to pass it off as real, and then that becomes a problem to me. Even if the person who is the retailer or whatever that means, and they're selling you, oh, these are knockoff Nikes, and you're like, I'm buying them as knockoffs, and you might have them and wear them or whatever you do with them, and that's fine. And then maybe oh, I got a pair of knockoff Nikes, and you sell them to a friend of yours. Just inevitably, somebody's gonna get their hands on those, and they're gonna turn around and say oh, these are real, and that's when it becomes a problem.
They're gonna ask why Jordan is jumping backwards.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure if I bought a fake, not fake, a cloned Rolex from Restovia, and I had it, they're not advertising them as real. I'm not buying it thinking it's real. But if I took that same watch and I sold it to somebody else and said, "Oh, here it's it's a cloned watch. I don't want it anymore," and sold it to him for $500 or whatever I would sell it, and that person turns around and says, "Oh, now I think I can make some money off of it.
Right.
I'll find some idiot that thinks this is a real Rolex and sell it to him for $7,000 or whatever the fuck those things cost." That's where the problem is. So I understand why the companies don't like it. I'm not against it though.
Yeah, I think there's the certain business scam part. Obviously, that's wrong. Then there's the ironic part, which is another example is years ago. I mean, this is 25 plus years ago. Cookie was in Rome, and they had all these street vendors, kind of like Canal Street, and that she bought a fake Louis Vuitton duffel bag. It was great, dude. We used it for 15 years, and it was one of those I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff, but I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's a real Louis Vuitton duffel bag.
Sure.
Check that out. That's pretty awesome. And it was funny because I remember we went to a hotel and I just launched that duffel bag from the car to the little car, the garment carrier thing. And and the person looked at me like, oh, sacre bleu. I'm like, no, dude, this is totally fake, man. The zipper doesn't even work. So I think there's an ironic part of the knockoffs, which again, if you know what it is, kind of like me and my fake Gucci monogram tracksuit, I like it, and I'm never reselling it, and I love the fact that I wear it, and it's ironic.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of secondary markets that I've dealt with, watches in particular. I typically buy used watches or ones that never sell. They call them gray market watches. So again, I'm a big Movado fan, and that's not a watch anybody's going to try to clone and sell. It's not worth it. Typical Movado, brand new, will run you about $1,000. So there's no incentive to clone these things. And the other thing is that Movado doesn't really hold its value. So you can buy a used Movado in perfectly good shape, look brand new, and you could probably buy it for $200 or $300 easily, like if you go to eBay or something like that. But there's all these gray markets where they basically, how it works is, I'll use Rolex as an example. Maybe Rolex is a bad example because I actually don't know how they kind of monitor their stock. I'll use Movado because I know Movado does this. So if you want to sell Movado, you have to get the authorization, the licenses from Movado to sell it in your store. So you're authorized dealer. So they ship you all the, let's say the 2025 models, and you have all these Movados in your store. You are required to sell so many of those. Otherwise, they'll pull your license from you. So you're no longer an authorized seller. So what these people do is they sell the watches, but as the new watches are getting ready to ship in for the new year, if they haven't sold enough of these Movados, they will just sell them wholesale to independent jewelry stores, and that becomes what they call gray market. So then they sell it to those people for wholesale, so they can go back to Movado and say, oh, we sold X number of watches, and that includes selling them wholesale to another dealer.
Ah, okay.
So then the unauthorized dealers, they get their hands on these ones that just never sold, they're year-old models or whatever. And the longer they sit around in these secondary stores, the cheaper they get, because that each year goes by and it isn't selling, they're going to have to lower the price. So on a gray market, you can get a Movado for about $400, $500, like half the price. So that's typically where I would buy my Movados, because Movado is one of the few watch companies where they do make different Movados every year, but they have a standard line of their Serios and museums that they're the same. It's the classic design that will never change, that kind of thing.
Right.
So every year they have these watches, and so why would I buy one brand new? It's just going to end up hitting the secondary market eventually, and I can buy it brand new for half the price. But I know a lot of people complain and say like, oh, these secondary gray markets, you got to be careful. A lot of it has to do with like cologne and perfume. Like, I'm not a big cologne person. I have a particular cologne that I really do like, but they don't make it anymore. So you have to get
Stetson?
No, it's not Stetson. It's Brute. No, it's called Coeur d'Alene. It was made by Banana Republic.
Okay.
And some people, you can find it in these gray markets, because there's a bunch of it that was made, it never sold. And I could probably go buy some today. It's still out there. But I hear people like they'll buy it and they'll say like, this is knockoff. And like people will comment and say like, look, it's a $40 bottle of cologne. Nobody's, gonna.
That's too much effort. And
yeah,
work.
You're gonna do something else. But I wanted to get a different cologne, and again, I don't know colognes all that well, and I wanted to get like maybe a sample pack. So I was starting looking at all these sites that sell you like little samples, and even the samples were like, not that they were expensive. It's just like I don't want to spend $30 or $40 to get 15 samples, so that I can smell them all and pick one. So I just went blindly, and I just went online, and I'm just looking up like what are some really good scents that run you maybe like $150, $200 a bottle, something like that. And one kept popping up, Dior's Homme. I don't know if he's pronounced it that way. Right? And that's home, right? Home.
Yeah.
So yeah, and everybody's like, this is, I've never gotten so many compliments on a cologne. So I said, this is what I'm going to get, right? So I go to Dior's website, and they have it, and you could buy it. But there was another thing that was talked about was the Homme Intense, and everybody was saying how like it is a way better cologne than the regular. It was described as being more mature smelling, and like people were saying like the Homme is fine, but the Intense, it kills it, and that stuff I've never gotten so many right. So it seemed to be that most people like the Homme, but the Homme Intense is really the one you want. So I'm going.
Did you get it?
Well, this is the thing. I go on Dior's website, and I can't find it. So I started looking up like, do they make it anymore? And I found out it's only sold in Europe. So I go like, okay, but I did find it in all these gray market places. I guess it's it sat on the shelf too long and it gets passed around. But then people start saying like, oh, that one website, they sell knockoff, and everybody else says, no, that's real, and it's knockoff. No, it's real. So I just like, well, I don't want to buy something like that on a secondary market because I couldn't get a read as to whether or not it's real. I don't want to buy some knockoff.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, if it's only sold in Europe, I just went to the Dior site, the European Dior site, and they have it in pounds. And I just sent them a message and I say, I'm in America. Can I get my hands on this? And they're like, yeah, it's going to cost you a bit more money, but yeah, we can ship it out to you if you want to do that. And I did. I bought the biggest bottle though. I get a discount.
And?
I like it. It's awesome. Yeah.
So when you use cologne, are you the guy that like miss it in the air and you twirl through it? Are you that person?
No, I see. I'm stingy. I'm real careful about spraying it, making sure it hits all skin. If I see any little mount shoot off to the side, I feel ripped off.
You go and chase it down.
Yeah, I gotta go chase it down.
That's when you stop, drop, and roll.
You're right. That's when you stop, drop, and roll. I'm not wasting any of this shit.
No.
So yeah, I really like it. Again, I bought it blindly, and it's vastly different than Coeur d'Alene. I like Coeur d'Alene. I think it might be my favorite cologne, but it is no doubt. Wearing the Intense, when I go out and I hug somebody, a girl will be like, "Ooh, you smell that? What is that?" I'm like, "All right, it's working."
Yeah. I've used the same cologne for 25 years. Estee Lauder Pleasures. I
was gonna say Dracar.
Yeah, Dracar Noir. Yeah, Cookie got me a bottle of Louis Vuitton cologne in its own Louis Vuitton leather container.
Oh shit!
Yes, it was very kind. Got it for as a present. I'm like, good gravy. I mean, I don't really use cologne, but to your point, the few times I've ever used that cologne, oh yeah, for sure. People are like, oh, dude, you smell amazing.
Oh God, yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Then I feel like a douchebag, and I'm like, oh, Louis Vuitton. Right?
Ooh, shit, you fancy motherfucker.
Exactly. Hey, I got a second mortgage on my house to pay for this.
Yeah, I've never been into stuff like that. My mother bought me a bottle of Eternity years ago.
Calvin Klein.
And I never really wore cologne. I wasn't against it. I just didn't put it on. I had no specific reason why I wouldn't do it. And then it was about maybe 2 years ago, there was a couple of things I wanted to change. And it started with the watches, because I've always had a Movado watch, and I've always liked the Movado watch. I have a story about a Movado and how I even got a Movado, how I even found out about Movado. And I'll take this all the way back. So when I was in college, I never owned a watch, and I never really thought about it. I'm not a jewelry person. I don't have rings or necklaces or nothing. I don't do any of that shit, right? Mm-hmm. And that includes watches. So I was with this girl at the time, and we were in San Francisco. We're walking by this jewelry store, and they had the Movado Museum black-faced watch right in the window on display. And I looked at it, and I'm like, wow, that is a fucking nice watch. If I ever bought a watch, that's the watch I would want. And so my girlfriend at the time, after I graduated college, she decided to buy me a watch. She didn't buy me that watch. She bought a watch that she liked, which was a Tag Heuer. And
isn't that, I'm not a watch guy, but isn't that a nice watch?
Oh, fuck yeah. It's more expensive than a Movado. But the problem was it was like a diver style watch. It even had the little like the old school diver mask on the back of it. It said up to 300 meters you can go underwater, and it had like the twisty dial on top and like a compass and all this crap. That's not what if you've ever seen a Movado doesn't even have numbers on it. It has a black face and a little like, gem at the top. That's why I like the Movado, because it was that clean, sophisticated look. Now I'm got a watch, I guess, that I can, if I get lost in the desert, I can find my way out. It's not my style. It's a nice watch. Again, no Tag Heuer. Fuck it. No. So what happened was I had it for maybe 2 or 3 years, and I didn't wear it a ton. Because again, I never wore watches really to begin with, and it wasn't a watch that I particularly was interested in. So at one point, I said, you know what? I want to get that Movado. And so I looked it up and found it. And again, you could get it used for like $500-$600. And I'm thinking like, well, this Tag Heuer, and I'm guessing based on my memory, I think it was about a $1,500 watch, maybe a little bit more than that. So I just sold it on eBay, and I got, I think, $800 or $900 for it. And so I was able to go buy the Movado with that money. So then I now have this Movado. And even then, I really didn't wear the Movado a whole lot. I would wear it occasionally, but not a whole lot. And then I had it for years, maybe 5-6 years. And then it was about 2 years ago that I decided, I'm like, you know what? I've had this one Movado watch for a long time. I want to buy a couple more watches. And, I'll get a blue Movado and a gray Movado and a white Movado, right? So all of a sudden
I collected the whole set.
Yeah, I got like all these different colors to match whatever clothes I'm wearing. And so I had those for years. And then I'm just like, last maybe 2 years, I said to myself, I have these 4 or 5 watches. I don't wear them a whole lot. I'm gonna start wearing the fucking watch every day. So whatever, if I'm wearing something black, throw the black on. Wearing something light colored, up to the watch. So I had I'm doing it regularly, and I actually like it. People will compliment me like, "Oh man, it's a nice watch." And I just got into this weird kick where I had this bottle of Eternity. I'm like, I want to start wearing cologne too. And the other thing I did, I had for years said I would never do this, never buy nice sunglasses, because inevitably I'd lose my glasses, and I don't want to lose a $200 pair of glasses. But I said, fuck it, I'm gonna buy a nice pair of glasses. So I bought a pair of Ray-Bans that were really nice, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I see another pair of Ray-Bans. So I ended up buying like 5 pairs of Ray-Bans, got 5 watches, and that's when I said I need to get some nice cologne. And I do remember that same girlfriend, she bought me that Tag Heuer I didn't want, but she also bought me a bottle of Cordovan, which I fell in love with. So I got a bottle of that.
It's a great story, man.
Yeah, so I got a bottle of that, and then I said, well, I need another scent. And that's when I started, scrounging around and found the Dior. So yeah, in the last maybe 3 years or so, it's something that, 5 years ago, you would never catch me with, nice glasses, a watch, or wearing cologne. Now I do it pretty much every day. Hey. Yeah, so look at that. Now I'm classy. I'm moving up in the world.
No, dude, I think it's awesome. It's part of the style. When somebody thinks about, the legendary Kabibi-san. Yeah, those are like signature elements, man.
And they do look good. Like Ray-Bans are clearly nice glasses. Movados are clearly nice watches, and having really nice cologne is part of a package. It makes you feel good, especially if you dress nice.
Of course.
Yeah, you throw on a nice, shirt.
Style's
and jacket.
not dead, man.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy streetwear, no, I think that's there's something mature and classy about having nice clothes, nice shoes, look good, smell good, feel good, and that whole deal.
And it's weird with me because I'll dress really nice in the wintertime, but once the summer comes along, it's nothing but basketball jerseys and shorts
and flip flops. yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny that do you own a Swatch?
No.
Or a Casio?
No.
Not even a Casio calculator watch?
Nope.
Did you ever have a calculator watch?
I never had any of that stuff.
Do you remember the watches that you could play like Donkey Kong or Legend of Zelda?
I think it's possible I may have had one of those. Either that or a Tiger handheld game.
Of course, dude. That's part of our era. Here's a funny quick story about I want to say, I don't know if it's Pac-Man or Legend of Zelda or Double Dragon or one of those, but my buddy Shannon lives up north, and he and I were texting one day, and we both were drinking in our respective areas, but we're texting each other like, what are you doing? Oh man, I'm on my 17th margarita. What are you doing? Oh, it's old fashions for me today, type of a thing. And I remember I found like a mint condition, one of those types of watches. We'll just call it a Double Dragon watch. Sent it to him, said, this has your name on it. It's only $500.
Shit.
And it's a piece of Americana. You need to buy this. And like how you, on your phone you can see someone texting you back. It's little dots, and then you get the order confirmation. Well, the one thing that neither of us realized in our adult state of mind is those watches were for children.
Yeah. You can't put them on your wrist.
No,
won't fit.
So it shows up at his place, and he sends me a picture. He's like, "What am I supposed to do with this now?"
You're supposed to take it to one of those high-end watch shops and get a new band for it, and watch the guy trip out when you want to put a new band on fucking old
this is
Double Dragon.
Yeah, this is for
watch.
An 8-year-old kid, right? They don't even make batteries for these things anymore. It's classic.
I have an important announcement for you, so stay tuned.
Yo, that's some next level shit, bruh.
So you got me. Big deal.
The internet's answer to a question no one asked. The Tilted Table with Sean and Joe.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Tilted Table, the internet's answer to a question that no one asked. I'm Sean Kabibi.
And I'm Joey Joe, the Fracky Mac.
And I am going to spray on some cologne, put on a watch and some shades, and walk outside in the middle of the night. I'll be like Corey Hart.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, when I use cologne, I puff it in the air and I moonwalk backwards. Peace.